I don't read the newspaper. Because it's garbage. And the editor that let it come out is garbage.
It's Division I football! Go play intramurals, brother. Go play intramurals.
But, you know, I am going to try, and there will be some people inconvenienced. And if it happens to be their fat little girlfriends, too bad.
Twitter, radio.
Yeah, I'd give a rat's ass about Twitter.
Welcome on back to the Jake and Bake Show. It's week 6 of the NFL, week 5 of NCAA or something like that. But before we get into it, be sure to follow us on Twitter at The Bake is here for myself, at Jake Cart for Jake, and at Jake and Bake Show for the show channel. And be sure to subscribe and follow wherever you listen or watch the show, whether it be on our YouTube channel or our Spotify channel. Just be sure to hit that subscribe button, that like button, that follow button. It really helps out, and we really appreciate it. Jake, let's get into this last week of college football. The prior 2 weeks, we had really great outcomes in terms of OU losing. And the week prior, we actually had OU and Texas losing going into this past week's Red River Showdown. And this is what I have to say on it real quick is OU didn't win that game. Whoever was going to win that game was going to be, it wasn't that they won it. It's the other team lost it, you know? That's what I have to say. You know, like Texas lost that game. OU would have lost that game had Texas won. It wasn't, no team would, neither of them played good enough to say that they won the game, is my point. They both were abysmal. They both played terribly. Texas can't tackle for shit, which I know you'll touch on. And OU, they just got lucky with a couple turnovers that they forced. This is the first game I think that their defense has gotten a turnover this season. And so I'll let you take it from there, but neither team was good enough to say that they won that game.
Yeah, I mean, it's convenient that a week ago I gave OU advice and then they end up winning. So, you know.
Yeah, you're right. Wow, I actually didn't put that together.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is neither team played good. They both played horrible. I mean, just right out the gate. I mean, OU getting the double penalties, getting pushed back to 3rd and long, and then having to punt, and then Texas fumbling. You just knew, like, oh God, this game's gonna be like just back and forth.
A shit show.
Yeah, it was a shit show. They both played terribly. OU finally in the second half started to get it together. Like their offensive line started getting a push. They started getting the hole, and the run game started coming in. And so they started separating out. And then finally Texas found their legs in the fourth quarter.
But like before you keep going, they were dead.
Yeah, they were dead.
They were dead in the water. They were out of it. You keep going, but they were dead.
Yeah, they were completely dead, and then Sam started running the ball. Well, it's because, dude, before Sam started tucking and running in the fourth quarter, Texas as a team had 27 yards of rushing offense, which is horrific. That's horrible. You can't have that. And so finally they just said, screw it, and Sam started running the ball, and they started actually moving downfield. And so they came all the way back, went to 4 overtimes. You know, there's always questions back and forth of, you know, a lot of people said that it was called really bad, which it was. I mean, you know, Texas, the incomplete pass, like that was real sketchy. There was Buki Radley-Hiles had a pass interference call that didn't get called. And then OU fans talk about the 40 seconds or whatever that was put back on the clock when it shouldn't have been. And so it was kind of all over the place. I think the thing was, dude, is like, here's the real interesting thing is it went to 4 overtimes. And if it were to gone to the 5th, then the new rule would have kicked in, which would have been it's 2-point conversion from there on out. Each team gets the ball on the 3 and gets one play.
I think that's something that not many people know about. You know, I don't like, unless you're like heavily ingrained in the rules or you hear about it on the broadcast because the broadcasters mention it, which is, I'm guessing how you heard about it. And like, I might not have caught it, but like, unless you hear it or read about it, you aren't going to know that. I don't ever remember seeing that like put out or like
Yeah.
advertised or whatever. And
There
so
was
that would have
something-
been something interesting to see. Having that game go to a 5th overtime and then having people be like, "Whoa, what are they doing?" Because
Yeah.
then they're just running 2-point conversions at that point, one play, right?
Yeah. Yeah. One
And
play
so-
from the 3.
Yeah, so that would have been extremely new, and people would have been like, "Whoa, what's going on?" And that would have thrown off the betting. That would have thrown everyone off. If you didn't know that, and you're like, "Oh, we're gonna get 7 points here because they need to score a touchdown," like, no, you're gonna get 2. Like
Yeah.
that would throw a lot of things off.
Well,
But
bro,
that game was
if-
crazy.
If you bet the under in that game, you had to be pissed.
Oh yeah,
Because it was going to hit because Texas was dead and you were just sitting there celebrating, and then all of a sudden they rolled all the way
Yeah.
back, pushed in
And-
overtime.
and I talked to a few OU fans, and some of them there's one specifically that's a delusional one. You probably know him a little bit more, a little bit well, or more better than I do, I guess, for lack of better terms. You know him better than I do, but he's a delusional fan. You know who I'm talking about. I'm not gonna say
Yeah.
this. But everyone else is pretty they're actually coming to terms, or like, yeah, that was terrible game. Like they still are happy about the win because it's Texas. I get it. It's a rivalry game. You just want a dub. You would rather get the dub than the L. And so but they're kind of like coming to the senses of being like, yeah, that's not a good team, Like Lincoln
Yeah.
Riley's an offensive coordinator. He's not a head coach.
And you played Texas defense is abysmal. Their defense terrible.
Dude, I mean, go ahead and touch on that because the tackling is non-existent.
Yeah. I mean, dude, if you take out PJ Foster got hurt during the game and he was their leading tackler, and then it was Joseph Asai and Overholster. Those are the 3 guys on their defense. Everybody else could be Billy Joe Bob, and it would make no difference. I mean, literally, their defense is so bad. I mean, Joseph Asai, dude, was literally running across the field, making tackles. Like, it's just insane how bad their
You had
defense
pointed that
was.
out live watching the game. Like, dude, watch. They don't tackle unless Joseph Asai is part of the
Yeah,
tackle.
it
And
has
like
to be one
literally
of
the
them.
next play, there was players that just let the ball handler, the ball carrier run by them, and then Joseph Asai came to tackle him, and then they started tackling.
Yeah,
It's like they need his permission to tackle almost.
Yeah.
It's actually very sad because Texas, they're supposed to be a prominent team, and they're sad. They're like, honestly, you kind of feel bad for them. It's 2020. The year already hasn't been going great, let alone
Well,
you
bro.
have Sam Ellinger for his senior year and you're throwing his talents away. Because actually, you know what? I came around on Sam Ellinger this year, I think. I don't think his passing is that great, but like his toughness is actually pretty impressive. Like,
Sam's not bad.
he was out. I mean, you saw it in that last little bit of the fourth quarter, the first overtime. He was winded. I mean, he was tired, just absolutely gassed. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, his strength and determination. I mean, that was actually impressive. But
Yeah.
still, you play for Texas, you're just only going to get so far because they're a sad program.
Well, bro, I mean, you gotta win.
I love
Like,
it because every
OU
year,
is down. Like,
yeah.
if you're not gonna beat OU now, what are you doing? Like, you're gonna beat
I
OU
mean,
when they're good? Like,
That's your prerogative too, and that's your worry. You got them here in a couple weeks.
yeah, yeah,
Right? I mean, you
yeah.
guys got them in 2 or 3 weeks.
we
so
we got to worry about Iowa State first, but
yeah, but then who is it? Is it OU after Iowa State?
no, it's K-State, I think, or
Iowa State, Texas, K-State, OU. So you got a little bit. You got about
Yeah.
3 games before you play them. But you still got to worry about them. You got to beat them.
yeah,
I mean, if you can't, like you said, if you can't beat them now, are you going to ever?
yeah.
And it's in Norman, so we'll see.
Actually works out better for us.
We'll see. But let's move on to and talk about Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, Jake, is you let the people know, what are they ranked this week in the AP polls?
We're ranked 7th in the country.
And how
Yeah.
happy are you about that? When's the last time you saw something like that?
I'm 6 away from joy. No,
Well,
just kidding.
you probably aren't going to get there.
No.
But you guys actually did have your game against Baylor this upcoming weekend postponed. Not necessarily a terrible thing. not necessarily a terrible thing. It's one more week for Spencer Sanders to get healthy. And I think you would beat Baylor anyway, but your games coming up are going to be tough. You got, except for K-State, they lost their quarterback, which we'll touch on here in a second.
Yeah.
But you got Iowa State, Texas, K-State, OU. You're going to need Spencer Sanders fully healthy for that. So every week he gets healthier is just better for you guys in the long run.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's good for us, if it's bad for us. We're getting so much just practice and stuff, which is good. But then again, it's like, is it killing our momentum?
But
Is
think about
Baylor
this.
worse now? Because the thing is now we got to push and play Baylor at the end of the year. And what if Baylor's terrible now, and then we play them at the end of the year when they figure everything out? Like, and we don't get that bye week. If we go to the Big 12 championship, we would have had a bye week going into the chip game, and now we don't.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean, it could come back to bite you guys in the ass, but there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing to do.
The worst part about it is it has nothing to do with us. Like, we did everything right.
Yeah,
We still get screwed out of it.
yeah.
Like, I feel like if you can't keep control of your program and you get all these, I mean, dude, they had what, 28 kids test positive? Like,
Something
bro,
that.
that's not like a couple. That's like,
What should happen to them if they can't control their kids?
dude, at that point you should forfeit games. Like, I don't even know if the other team should get wins, but
Is there
you should almost
any
have-
bias in this? Like, what do you think Oklahoma State should get out of this if they forfeit?
well, dude, you gotta think of it like this, dude. Like, cheating, right, in NCAA in college football, like, the main thing is lack of institutional control. That's like the big one. The biggest thing you can be set upon by the NCAA is lack of institutional control. If you have 30 dudes test positive, like, that's not even their tracing. That's dudes that actually test positive. So if you have 30 dudes basically test positive, and then tracing probably goes to 60 or 70 or what, basically your whole team. So you're basically saying your whole team is out because you have lack of institutional control. You can't control your team. Dudes are going out doing crazy stuff. So it's like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I doubt it, because people were going to say that they got it on the trip to West Virginia. But, dude, they released, or it got leaked, that all the stuff in West Virginia, like, they wore goggles and mask on the plane, ate as a team in a, like, secured location, got back on the plane, and they were, I mean, dude, bro, like, they wore goggles. Like, that was the one that surprised me. I was like, they're taking it serious. Like,
yeah, I guess so.
could
But,
you-
I mean, go ahead,
you
go
know,
ahead.
I was just gonna say, could you imagine getting on a plane and seeing, like, the Baylor team on the plane with you, and they're all wearing goggles? Like, what
Yeah.
the hell?
Well, they
going
probably
on?
got their own. They probably chartered
Yeah,
out
they
a plane and
chartered
whatnot.
out.
But, like, let's keep going on the cancellations, because we got one that might be huge. It's could potentially be impactful in terms of the actual college football playoffs. Nick Saban tested positive as of yesterday. It is the 15th of October right now, Thursday. It came out on ESPN that he tested positive yesterday. You know, he left the facility, and whether he's got any close contact with the players or not is to be seen. But if they have to postpone that game, that's huge, because they're playing Georgia. That's a top 5 matchup. That's a top 4 matchup right there. That's playoff implications. That's everything, the whole 9 yards. I mean,
Dude,
that's a huge game.
Yeah, I think, dude, here's the thing that's kind of scary too, is when the college kids aren't so bad, because the majority of them are going to get over it just fine. But when you're talking about college coaches, you know, like Nick Saban's getting up there. Like, he's not a young, spry kid.
Yeah.
So it's like, Nick Saban doesn't get over this, dude. That opens,
Jeez,
that
Jake.
really
I
opens
didn't know we
up
were
the-
going there. All right, well, let's just
Well,
wish
I'm
him
just saying,
thoughts
it's a
and positive
possibility.
vibes. Positive
Yeah.
vibes to Nick Saban. I hope he gets better.
Yeah,
I hope he's
go.
all right. But that is huge, because, you know, that, I mean, if he's not there to coach Bama, when's the last time we saw that? And so we don't know, like, do they falter? I mean, they're playing Georgia. Georgia's good. Their defense is, Kirby's defensively smart. Kirby Smart is a defensive genius. They're probably the best defense in the SEC this year, in an SEC conference that actually is down. Like they're playing Big 12 defense, it seems like. But that's huge because the spread on Georgia Bama is 4. And so I already think Georgia has a huge shot at beating Bama, and now this just adds another factor to it if Saban's not there to coach and someone else has to step up,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that game's gonna be insane. Dude, well here, let's get to that towards the end. I want to talk about the Florida Texas A&M game because Florida, I had
which A&M beat A&M beat Florida. Florida was number 4, A&M was 21. A&M beat them.
Yeah,
pretty
well. Who told me that they were going to put 80,000 in their stadium?
Yeah, you took Florida, didn't you?
Yeah, I took.
I think
Florida,
I did too.
And then I showed up for that game, watching it, turn it on TV, and I'm like, they got a packed house in Aggieland? What is going on?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That was insane.
I mean, they need their 12th man.
Yeah.
And right after the game, Dan Mullins, the head coach of Florida, was like, we better pack fucking the Florida Gators stadium.
Yeah.
We better pack the swamp because that's not fair. He felt like they didn't have it. They had a disadvantage. It's like, yeah, they did, but like, what? You still got beat.
Yeah, they didn't practice. Because a lot of those teams, they put, they pump crowd noise into practice or whatever to try to get you ready or whatever, whether that makes a difference or not. But yeah, it's just, it catches you off guard of like, oh, they actually got fans. Like, it's getting loud in here. Like,
they showed up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's crazy. A&M actually bounced back up to, I think, 11th. So their defense is actually pretty good. Yeah, they're back to 11th. Their defense is pretty good. And you know what? You know who else is not that bad is we got our boy old Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. And they hung tough with Bama. They really did. They gave Bama a run for their money.
He called about as good a game as you could call.
Yeah.
Like, he picked them apart. Whether, he stole the call signs or not, like...
Here's my thing on that. We talked about this on my other show, The Sports Show, which, once again, you can check out on ucentralmedia.com. Here's one thing I said on that. He's been gone from Bama. How long? Doesn't matter. Bama is not going to – they're not going to have the same play calls and signs for 3 years straight. They're changing that shit up probably weekly, if not at least yearly. Like for sure yearly. And he's been gone long enough. There's no way he's stealing their play signs. Like, yeah, he might have an idea of what they're going to run, but like doesn't every coach have? If you're a good coach, don't you already anticipate a lot of coaches' things? You do enough studying that you should already. If you're a good enough coach, you should already be anticipating things. So yeah, he's probably got a little bit of an edge on that because he was inside the system. But he's so far removed from it that like, no, I don't think there's any validity to stealing, like not stealing signs, but like picking up signs, knowing the signs. I don't think there's any validity to that, because if there is, then you're basically calling Saban an idiot because you're saying that he's not smart enough to change his signs, and he's not an idiot. So if you're saying Lane Kiffin's doing that, you're disrespecting Nick Saban, which whatever, if you want to disrespect him, but that's just wrong because he's not that dumb. He's not that dumb.
Well, and dude, if you go back and look at it historically, Ole Miss has always given Alabama fits. Like, the thing is, dude, is whether, all that stuff happened, which I doubt it did, because most of the time, if you are stealing play calls, you go up to the line, you say hut, and then you look and see what the defense does. And then you look back at the sideline, and then they tell you to change the play or run it, and then you run it. So, like, how many times did that happen during the game? Probably not that many. And, dude, the thing is like, we know Lane Kiffin's a good offensive coordinator, and Corral played the best game he could play. I mean, he was pulling the Sam Ehlinger and just trying to carry him as far as he could. And, I mean, dude, the thing about Bama is they're just so stacked, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Georgia game.
Well, I mean, we can just get into it now.
Okay, we can get into it
now. I mean, if you got more to say on Bama, keep going.
I mean, dude, like, Bama is stacked. Like, their defense played terrible, and I know Nick Saban is out, but Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith and, Like Mac Jones is playing so well right now. And even if Mac Jones doesn't play well, you still have Bryce Young on the bench. Like you still have options everywhere on offense. Like, yeah, your defense isn't playing that well, but you have the talent there. Like you can turn it on when like you play, especially coming off a game like that where they're going to rip them at practice. Like, I just see him going into that Georgia game.
Do you think
favored better?
They are they're favored by 4. So I mean, they're the favorites. But do you think that the defense of Georgia is going to play a larger factor than the offense of Bama? You know what I'm saying? Like, if Georgia's offense can get any sort of success, which they're not bad, but I don't think Georgia's offense is like any high-powered shit. But Bama's defense is broken down enough that if Georgia's offense can get any sort of momentum and any sort of rhythm, that defense is probably going to be able to hold them in there, I think. Because Bama's defense isn't as good as, you know what I'm saying? It's hard. I can't remember exactly how I wanted to put that. But my point is Georgia's defense is good. They're going to fucking stop Bama's offense. Bama's defense isn't going to stop Georgia's offense, ideally, if they can get going, is my point. Georgia's just got to get going.
I think the other way around. I think Georgia's offense and Bama's defense, I would say, is closer than Bama's offense and Georgia's defense. Like the thing is like Georgia's going to stop them a little bit, but with Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle and Najee Harris and Mac Jones playing so well and like all of that stuff, like they're going to get it rolling. The thing about Georgia's offense is decent, but like they're going to have to pull a lot of quickie ski. Like Pickens is going to have to do some weird slide. Like they're going to have to be sly on offense. And I don't feel like it's going to be a fluid thing. Like I feel like they're going to get shut down and, and here's also the other thing is Nick Saban has never lost to an assistant ever.
But he's also not coaching this game. Probably.
Ooh, yeah, that's true too. I didn't think of that.
Yeah,
he's coaching. Dude, they're gonna do the oh my god, who did that? The Iowa guy, right? That coach from the hospital bed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? That's what Saban's gonna do, bro. They're gonna wheel him out in his hospital bed, and he's gonna be like Garland Picky, just like yelling out play calls.
Yeah, that's gonna be funny, but I don't think he's gonna be coaching the game, so I think that plays a large factor this time around. I think I think there's gonna be enough mismanagement on time by the assistant, whoever is coaching the game. I think there's gonna be enough missed calls that Georgia's going to be able to overcome those, take advantage. But we'll have to see. And one team I want, before we get off college football, one team, and then we'll come back with our picks. One team I want to give a shout out to is kind of like Coastal Carolina. They're 4-0 in the Sun Belt. They're doing some pretty interesting things out there.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to do that. But let's move on to real quick. I want to kind of touch on NBA because they just wrapped up their season.
Yeah.
The Lakers won the title against the Heat in Game 6, and so. One thing I wanted to touch on is this the most dominant prime run for any sports figure? Really, is LeBron James? He's been in his prime for what, 10 years now, and he's dominated all 10 of those years for the most part. Is it the most dominant prime run for any sports figure? Do you think?
Him and Brady are really close for longevity. Like, that's hard to say. The only other person I could think of is Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice he was very consistent for a very long time of a very high thing. Now, I think LeBron, it's so hard to say. Like, I think LeBron has more pressure than either of those guys, and I might catch heat for that. But the reality of it is like when you're comparing basketball versus football or anything like that, like, yeah, Tom Brady in football, it's a lot closer than like Jerry Rice, but like football is so much more dependent on a team game. Like you got, 22 guys, starting. So it's like, basketball is you start 5, and you play both ways. So it's like, it's so tough, dude.
Unless you're James Harden.
Yeah. Well, some people start, they just don't play both ways.
Yeah.
But I mean, dude, LeBron, like, it's unreal, dude. I mean, the thing is he's taken every team to the finals. Every team
Yeah,
he's
I mean-
ever played for, regardless how good or bad they are, he's taken every one of them to the finals. That's
I
insane.
think, and the thing is he's won the championship with 3 different franchises.
Yeah.
You know, that's impressive in its own right. To
Yeah.
say that you took 3 different franchises to the finals and won.
Yeah.
I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah,
Jordan
I
didn't
mean,
do that.
no, Jordan never even came
once.
close.
But the thing about Jordan is he's got 2 3-peats.
Yeah.
That's
But-
impressive in its own right.
Yeah, Jordan
they all
Jordan
have their
has,
own-
dude. Okay, so here's the problem, dude. Is Jordan is correct. Yeah, he had 2 3-peats, but you know, and I understand the same argument's going to go against LeBron, but he had super teams then, and the teams he played, you know, people always talk about their defense. Their defense wasn't all that crazy. It was just the rules, like, dude. It wasn't like he was playing all these insane all-stars, dude. Like people say, oh, dude, that Pistons team, like, dude, that Pistons team was not that fucking good. Like Lampier, dude, if Lampier played today, bro, he's not that good. Like, I don't understand what people see, and then they like make up this fairy tale. Like, because, dude, here's the thing about Jordan, right? Is Jordan, it's all about the greatness and never about the failures. No one will ever talk about other than the 6 years. Like, they only take the 6 years that he won and say, here's his resume, and not all the fucking years he got bounced out in the first round by trash teams. Like, he got bounced in the first round by, like, the Magic. And, like, LeBron, never has been beat in the first round. So, I mean, there's tons of stats. And, like, when you're looking at stats, LeBron it's there, dude. There's just too many fucking things to point to of points and rebounds and playoffs and just everything about him. Like, when you're talking about an entire player, like everything, like, LeBron's a better player, but people don't want to, people are still hung up on it.
Well, I think it's people try to do the argument of it's different eras, they play different, or LeBron wouldn't be able to handle it in that era because it was tougher.
Well, I completely understand, dude. The truth, here's the real truth, is people, because of Jordan's attitude, because of the competitiveness and the way he carries himself, people give him brownie points that shouldn't actually go to it. You know what I mean? Like, I understand it makes a difference, but you're giving him points that aren't really there just because you like the guy. The thing is Jordan is just so overwhelmingly well liked, and LeBron has been hated on forever. And so, like,
and I think some of it's to his own doing. When he left Cleveland, I think that's when that started,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And so it's somewhat to his own doing.
But the thing about LeBron is he resurrected that when he came back and won. So, like, he overcame a lot of those obstacles. But I mean, dude, the thing is people always want to say their era was the best and all this stuff.
Do you think that going forward, this will change the landscape of how NBA superstars chase titles and whatnot? He's taken 3 franchises and won with 3 franchises. KD's trying to possibly do the same thing in terms of he went to Golden State. Yeah, he went to a super team already, but he won with them. Now he's going to Brooklyn with Kyrie. Is he going to be able to try to win with them? Then will he leave to go somewhere else? Maybe he comes back to OKC and win with them. Like, is this the new goal?
If you can do it, but here's the
to
problem,
see how many franchises you can take and win with in the championship.
Yeah, I think that's LeBron's thing. That's what LeBron's trying to prove, is like, hey, dude, I can get it done anywhere. It don't matter. But I mean,
I think people are seeing that now too.
I don't think, dude, like, people are hyping up Durant and Kyrie, and yeah, they're gonna be good. But brother, I'm telling you right now, like, they ain't gonna win. Like, they might get deep,
Why?
Well, because, bro, like, they're a really good team, but they ain't Lakers deep. Like,
Yeah.
they got
The Lakers
Allen.
only going to get better. I think this offseason they're going to get better. I think some of those older role players ring chasing are seeing like, oh, this LeBron team is actually going to work with AD. Like those two together are unstoppable. And then if
Well,
you just
bro,
get
the
roster
truth
pieces,
is, it's the bench, dude. The bench
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
is what kills it, and that's the problem that
And they use the
Durant
bench
and
so
the
much that
Nets have.
if you're a veteran player looking for that high caliber team, like you're gonna want to go there because you're gonna get playing time. Like they're gonna use you, because it's
Yeah.
just how that system works. Their system works so well with using their bench. But
Yeah,
I think it's gonna I think going forward because like you said, if you want to be considered a great now I think going like it used to be you had to get 6 rings, right? You had to match Jordan to be considered a great. Kobe was close. He got 5. LeBron now, yeah, I think he might get to 5 or 6, but his thing is going to be taking multiple teams there. And I
Yeah.
think after he left Cleveland the first time and went to Miami, people hated him. Then they kind of started to like him again when he went back to Cleveland because it was like, all right, you just needed to grow. You needed the players around you to help you get there over that hump. And once you got over that hump, you now can say that you've been there and done that, and the pressure won't be as much. It is a lot still, but it's a little bit different. He goes back to Cleveland. He does it in Cleveland, and it took a lot. They weren't great teams. He did it in Cleveland, and then now he went to LA and did it in LA. I think it is going to be, and people each time after he left the Cleveland the first time. So then he went back. He left the Heat to go back to Cleveland. Since then, I think people have grown to either reliking him or just not hating him as much. I know myself. I was a fan of LeBron before he left Cleveland the first time, and then as a Lakers fan, I've kind of grown to accept him and be a fan of him. And I do respect his greatness because it is insane. But is he going to stay there? I think he stays there for another 4 years or maybe 5. And then his last 2 years, see if he can go somewhere, maybe join up with his son, wherever his son goes, and see if he can do it with one last team on his last strings. I think that's something he's going to do. But I think that's something Kyrie's going to do. I think that's something maybe down the line Steph Curry's going to do. I don't know if Steph Curry's going to stay with the Golden State forever. I could see him maybe wanting to leave just to try to take a second team there. But then again, Steph Curry kind of is already cemented in greatness, just in a different way. And he probably doesn't have the longevity in terms of prime that LeBron does. But we'll see.
Yeah, the longevity of LeBron is just insane. Like, I don't know if I don't think anybody's going to be able to do, like, it's just so hard to do it because that's the same thing in football. Is the two guys, the only skill guy ever is Jerry Rice. Like, no one's even like close to that. And then I guess Brett Favre is the biggest Iron Man of all time, of whatever it is, 297 consecutive starts. But like, that's also a quarterback. Like, you're not getting hit every play. Like, like, it's a tough position, but
You're saying wide receiver or something?
No, well, no, I was saying quarterback like Brett Favre.
No,
like,
but I mean, I think someone like Brett Favre was, because he was kind of a scrambler in a sense. So like he was out there getting.
Yeah, he still took a lot of hits and stuff, but it's just different. And that having that longevity for that amount of time, and still being like LeBron isn't like a shell of himself anymore. Like he's still up there. Like what was he, like 28, 12 and 9 or something? And it's just like, I mean, dude, that's insane to be able to keep up that level for that.
Yeah, I mean, it is. And we'll have to, one thing I actually real quick, because I wrote this down when we were watching that, when I was watching that celebration for the finals, that post-game press conference. LeBron was actually talking about AD and pushing him like D Wade and Bosh did for him. And that's what I had wrote down to kind of remind me. And, it was interesting because he was talking about how when he went to Miami, he felt like he had D Wade and Bosh pushing him to just get better, which he did. They pushed him to be better. And he's basically saying that he's doing the same thing for AD. He's pushing AD to be better because because he is the next in line in terms of like superstar. He really is. I mean, he's with the Lakers. He's probably going to stay with the Lakers. He's a free agent now. I think this offseason. I think he's officially a free agent. But I think he's going to sign long term with the Lakers. I think he's there for the long haul. I think he's there with LeBron for the long haul. I think, like I said, I don't think LeBron ends his career with the Lakers. I don't. But I think he's going to be there for the rest of his prime with AD. And I think they're going to win probably 2 more titles. I really do.
Yeah.
In the next 5 years.
I mean,
I think they could even repeat. They could probably repeat this.
They probably can. If they keep everybody, somehow they work it out, they can.
If they keep everyone and or pick a few pieces that make them better, they're gonna repeat. Yeah. They're gonna repeat for sure.
I mean, and
it'll be interesting to see when they start the season. I don't think they've announced it yet.
Well, here's the thing, dude. I get people are gonna say that it's kind of an easy ring because all those teams choked. You know, the Clippers choked, the Bucks choked, all the stuff like that in the bubble. But like, if anybody deserves a fucking easy ring, it's LeBron. For how many trash teams he's taken to the promised land and then been such big dogs going in and then people trashing him. And I mean, dude, like
he beat Golden State with no one.
Pretty much. I mean, Kyrie, Kyrie balled out, but Kyrie also played terrible. Like Kyrie also had a bunch of games where like he was turning the ball over, like missing layups and stuff, trying to be too fancy. And like, yeah, he had a 40-point game, but like, you know, it's just like the same thing with the Heat. Everybody always says, oh, Ray Allen saved LeBron, which is partly true, but also like they wouldn't be there without LeBron. Like LeBron also carried him there too.
Yeah, true.
You know,
100%.
And like Dwayne Wade, like people don't really remember, but like, yeah, D Wade played well, but he was never what he used to be. Like he won in 06 and then that was in like 12. And in 12, I think D Wade was scoring like 15 points a game or something. So it's like,
you know, speaking of the Heat, it's going to be interesting to see what they do this offseason because there's a lot of rumors of Giannis going there. And now if Giannis goes to the Heat, that's scary. That changes scary. A lot of things. And it could be the exact 2 teams in the finals next year, Lakers and Heat. And this time, probably in actual, I'm assuming this next season, they're not going to do in a bubble. They're going to do something similar to baseball where they travel to the teams and then the playoffs might be in a bubble. I would assume that's what they do if everything stays similar to what it is now in terms of social distancing and whatever. So we'll have to see. I know the NHL is scheduled to start January 1st. And so I would assume, I'm pretty sure the draft for NBA is scheduled sometime in November and off season is basically coming up. I would assume it's pretty soon. I would assume. And then that'll go until the start of the year, or I think the start of the year. And I think in January is when they're going to try to start the next season. I'm not for sure. That's just some rumors I was reading and seeing out there on the Twitter sphere. But let's move on to NFL and just real quick, maybe not even real quick. It's almost like you never really hope to see anyone go down in an injury, but Dak Prescott's injury, man, thoughts and positive vibes his way because that's a terrible injury to have in terms of he took a risk this offseason not signing a deal that was offered to him. I think it was like a 5-year, $130 million deal. He decided not to take that because he felt like he could earn more or get a bigger contract. So he got franchise tag, which is the average of the top 5 salaries at that position. So he gets the average of the top 5 quarterbacks getting paid right now. And so he's doing good in terms of his money this year, but he's probably someone that deserves a big contract. He has done a lot. He has really performed really well, especially this year. But
I mean, dude, here's the thing. I feel bad for him and it's terrible and all this stuff like that. But, you know, don't you feel kind of like you held out for more money? And I do agree they should get more money and all this stuff. I'm not saying anything like that, but I'm saying like that's kind of part of football. Like if you hold out and you do all this stuff and you get hurt, like, you know, the risks that you're undertaking and like, I mean, you got to take some of the blame. Like you're gonna get hit a little bit.
I think that's partly why
I think
it
the
was
Cowboys.
so emotional.
Dude, here's the thing. I think the Cowboys, like, it would be such a bad look if you somehow you dumped him.
I think
like,
no, I think that they would. I think that the and this is something I was reading also on the internet and hearing about on other sports shows is they're probably just going to offer the same contract they did.
Yeah,
5-year, 130. Like here, this is what we offered you last year before you got injured. We're going to still offer it to you. If you feel like you're worth more still, by all means, hold out. And maybe he could get more somewhere. Maybe someone like the Chicago Bears or the Jacksonville Jaguars could offer him money that he feels like he could deserve. But that is a risk you take when you do hold out, especially when you're quarterback and at some point you're gonna get hit. So that is a risk he took. He maybe that's what I was gonna say is maybe because he was like crying. I don't think in pain. I think in emotional factors. He might have realized like shit. Like I took the risk of trying to hold out and get that bigger contract, knowing that if an injury happened, like it might force me to not be able to make that kind of money just because of how that shit works. Like if you get injured now, are you the same player? Are they going to pay you that same amount? We don't know. It'll be to be determined. It's something to keep an eye on. And I mean, honestly, it was crazy to see that happen on the same day that a player who also had an injury that seemed to be possibly career-ending, Alex Smith, when he broke his leg, because this back injury, I mean, he'll probably recover from it, but there's also that chance that, like, what if he doesn't? Like, what if he just doesn't? Alex Smith had a similar injury. He broke his leg. They actually thought they were going to have to amputate his shit off. And then 2 years later, he's back on the field playing. And that injury for Dak happened on the same day Alex Smith came back, which is crazy. But it's crazy that Alex Smith even came back and just the fact that he's playing football, let alone walking, is insane. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So did you have something?
What'd you think of Tuesday Night Football?
Actually, I was gonna move into that because all right, so I took the Bills. They were supposed to play on Sunday. That got postponed. Or maybe Thursday they were supposed to play, something like that. It got postponed. I took the Bills because I am kind of rooting for the Bills. Unfortunately, the last 2 weeks, maybe not so much, just because of how things are gonna. You'll see. Let's just say it has to do with picks. I took the Bills last week, kind of to give my boy Ryan Tannehill a little bit of a motivation, and boy did I ever, because they went out there and beat the dog shit out of the Bills. Maybe not beat the dog shit out of them. They won like 42-16, which, by the way, I heard that it was the first time that score has ever happened. It's like the 1500th or 1600th unique score in the NFL. Which, do you think that's a high number or a low number? So
yeah,
like,
it sounds outrageous.
1600 unique scores, like 1-1 or 1-2 or 1 to like 1600 unique scores. That was the first time 42-16 had ever happened. That's crazy. I didn't even know you could still get unique scores, let alone have 1600 of them. I thought that was a high number. I would have thought like 900 or something. But it's funny how math works, right?
Yeah, it sounds like a lot, but then again, like, how many games have they played? Like, how many things have they done? Like,
true.
Like overall, 1600 sounds like a lot, but if you're talking about, it's like college football. Like, how many they've played for over 100 more years? Like the NFL started 50 years ago or 100 years ago, and
something like that.
Now college football is 150 years old, and you have 128 or 129 FBS 1A teams, and then another 100 to, like on the cusp of FCS. So it's like, bro,
there's a lot of games. True. I mean, that's a good point.
There's a lot of games in football.
It just sounds. It just sounds weird. 1600
crazy.
Unique scores. But let's get back into that game. I mean, the Titans did beat the Bills, and Ryan Tannehill is not as bad as you keep saying he is, and the slander you put on his name. So,
no, I mean, he is, but it's all right.
No, I mean, he's not. He's not.
It just is, but it's okay.
I mean, he's the most efficient quarterback of the NFL.
It could be true.
Right? It is
but-
true. He was the most efficient quarterback last year in the NFL.
Well, last year, not last year
and
anymore.
he's probably one of the top, most efficient quarterbacks this year too.
Yeah, Tannehill doesn't turn the ball over.
He throws
bro,
dimes.
he almost got hurt. He almost hurt himself though in that touchdown celebration where he rolled and
sometimes work hard, party harder.
Bro, can you imagine if Tannehill accidentally hurts himself on a touchdown celebration? How pissed everybody's gonna be.
Well, I mean, you just pop the next guy in to hand it off.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
all right, I take that back. I shouldn't have said that. I'm gonna cut that out. Actually,
yeah, edit that part out.
Yeah, I'll have to edit that one out. But yeah, I mean, the Bills, they're now they were both undefeated going into that game, Titans. But all right, here's another thing, and I kind of wanted to touch on it earlier because we were talking about Baylor and Oklahoma State having this week, or Oklahoma State having this week off, 2 weeks off because they had a bye last week going into Iowa State. Tennessee had 2 weeks off too. They couldn't practice. They're the freshest team in the NFL. That shocked everyone. That's pretty much what everyone's talking about. Is like that's maybe having the 2 weeks off, no practice is good because now they're fresh as fuck. And so that could be the same thing for Oklahoma State. Yeah, you are, but you guys are practicing. And so I don't know. Like, are you guys going to be as fresh as possible going into the stretch of the year? I think it could be a good thing. And you say, yeah, you don't have a bye week at the end of the year now. But I think have it being fresh now into the meat of your season might be better. It might be. I don't know. And I would expect maybe another cancellation of a game down the road from probably someone like K-State or whatever, something like that.
Yeah.
TCU.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. We'll have to see. Another game I wanted to move on to, another big loss is Kansas City lost to the Las Vegas Raiders, and it actually didn't look pretty for KC. Las Vegas Raiders actually won that pretty handily. And I didn't want to talk about that game in depth. I don't really care about that too much. KC lost a game or two last year and still won the Super Bowl. It's not a big deal. You're gonna drop a game or two. It's too hard to go undefeated in the NFL. But another game I want to touch on is the Los Angeles. I almost wanted to say San Diego Chargers lost to the New Orleans Saints in overtime. And one thing we had talked about during that was the OT rules in the NFL. And I want to kind of to just plop that out for you and let you touch on that because you didn't seem not that you didn't seem you weren't happy and you voiced it. And I think everyone does year in and year out. The NFL OT rules suck. They just absolutely suck.
I've never understood it. The thing, dude, if you really think about it, like college football's overtime is so much better. And like, there's no way for you to have a better overtime in a lower league. It just doesn't make any sense. Like you guys are supposed to be the number one, it's like having like your overtime rules in the NBA being horrible and college being great. Like it just doesn't make any sense at all. Like just adapt to the college football overtime rules and get rid of ties. Like that's the worst part about not only is golden goal and the coin toss so heavily like doesn't make any sense in the NFL.
Yeah, so
but
for
also
people that don't know,
ties.
maybe for the people that don't know, and maybe in the NFL, if the team that gets the offensive possession first, if they score a touchdown, it's game over. But if they score a field goal, the other team has an opportunity to also score a field goal or score a touchdown. If they don't score anything, the next score wins.
Which, by the way, it used to be just a field goal. And the NFL even agreed that, this is stupid. Like,
yeah, because you just got to get to the fucking 40-yard line and pop a 50-yard field goal out.
Well, all you have to do is win the coin toss.
Yeah, basically.
You win the coin toss. We'd like to elect to receive.
Yeah.
And guess what the percentage of that was? Like, insane. You're like an 80-something% favorite if you win the coin toss in overtime because you elect to receive, you drive the ball, kick a field goal, and it was over. And it's even the NFL, like, dude, even backing on that rule of saying, I guess if you kick a field goal, then the other team gets the ball. That's like just the NFL just agreeing that the rules are terrible.
Yeah.
Like, that's even them accepting, like, And
the thing about the college is both sides get an opportunity to either win the game, tie the game, push it longer, whatever. You get an opportunity in the NFL. Your offense might not touch the field. It just might not. And that's the shitty part about it. But yeah, that's basically it in terms of we're a couple weeks away. We're about 1 week actually. I'm actually going to double check this because we're about 1 week away from the Big 12 or the Big 10 starting, boys. I'm going to double check on this. Week 8. Yeah, week 8. So next week, the 23rd, we're almost back. We're almost back. Football. Yeah, next Friday is the 23rd. And so that's Illinois, Wisconsin. And then Saturday, the 24th at 11 a.m. Central, Nebraska comes on over to Columbus, Ohio, and learns a thing or two about football from the old Buckeyes up there.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird seeing game 1 from Ohio State. Well, and dude, look, I'd say it this way.
But that's next week. All right, that's next week.
It's not as bad.
Ready.
It's
Football's
not as
back.
bad, dude. I mean, the Pac-12 is what's really gonna be weird.
Yeah, they start 2 weeks from that. I think they start like week 9 of the football season. But that's about it. Let's get into our picks, Jake. We're gonna start with NFL just because we're gonna end them with college. We got a good college game day game this week in Georgia, Bama, and we'll make that pick at the end. But I'll go first with the NFL picks. Let's see. I got a game. All right, so I think Green Bay is good. They're pretty good. They're not making too many mistakes. I think they're actually undefeated. Let me double check on that. But Tampa Bay is making some mistakes. Tom Brady's making some mistakes. Green Bay is undefeated. I think Green Bay's -1. Green Bay's -1. I think even if it's a close game, I think Green Bay wins this game. All they got to do is win by a field goal, basically. Bait, I hope. I mean, I'm going to jinx myself, and they're going to win by it, or they're going to fucking push it. But I'm going to take Green Bay -1 in that game. It's in Tampa, so you don't have to really worry about weather, I don't think. I think the Hurricane's out of there. Hopefully it didn't do too much damage. I'm not kept up on the weather news. And then another game, which I kind of hinted at earlier, is sorry, Bills. I wanted you guys to go undefeated as long as possible, but you're unfortunately coming off of a loss against a team that also is coming off a loss that is not going to go back-to-back weeks losing in the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Kansas City Chiefs are favored, they're favored by 3.5. I think they win by a touchdown because I don't think they're going to lose to Kansas City. They're not a team to have 2 back-to-back terrible games. So all they got to do is play good, and I think they win the game by easily 3.5 points. So sorry, Bills. But the other thing is, it is in Buffalo, so maybe that changes things. But I don't know. Moving on from NFL, I got an interesting game. It's actually tonight, Thursday, the 15th. It's tonight. Or no, it is tonight. Yeah, Thursday, 6:30 Central Time on ESPN. I'm going to take Arkansas State -3 against Georgia State. I think Arkansas State, it's a weird year. It's a weird year. They're decent. They're having a good season. I don't really know too much about Georgia State.
Georgia State's also
but
secret.
I think
They sneaky.
it's in Arkansas. It's Arkansas State's home, so
It's tough.
a -3. I think in the over/under 2.5. I think Arkansas gets it done with a touchdown. But we'll see, and hopefully it's a good game too. My other game is going to be, and this is, I hate picking this team. I hate it. Jake, can you guess who I'm going to pick? I hate it. I hate picking this team.
I don't know now.
I'll give you a hint. SEC country.
Oh, is it game day?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, Tennessee.
No, I hate taking Auburn. I'm going to take Auburn -3 against and at South Carolina. I think Auburn is going to bounce back. I don't think they're terrible. I just don't think they're great, but I don't think South Carolina's anything. And so I think Auburn being -3, I think they can probably get it done. Hopefully. We'll see.
Yeah.
And
Bo
then,
Nix, man.
Yeah, I don't really know about him, but what's that one? Tank Bigsby? When you have a guy on your team that's named Tank Bigsby, and you go,
They have another guy named like Smoke something.
Yeah, it's Smoke Monday.
Yeah, Smoke Monday. That's right.
Yeah, Smoke Monday and Tank Bigsby. If you got those two guys and you can't beat South Carolina, well, then you're the Auburn team. Just like I said, I hate taking Auburn. They're probably not going to cover this because I took them, but I think they will cover it. Hopefully they do, because those two guys.
It's literally Brilliant. It's literally a Key and Peele speech. I mean, a sketch.
Yeah.
Like they just took that sketch to heart way too hard.
Yeah,
Dude.
absolutely. And then I'm going to leave the game day game, Georgia Bama, for the end. Go ahead and give your picks. So you got
Okay,
a couple
well,
NFL
we'll start.
and
We'll
college.
start NFL. Yeah. We don't have an NBA anymore, so we
Nope.
can't pick that anymore. But anyway, surprisingly, dude, I'm on the board with you, dude. I'm taking the Chiefs 3.5 against the Bills. You know, coming off a loss, even though I guess they're both coming off a loss, but the Chiefs just like, you know, you get one of those games where they're messing around, and then now like they got to come out and prove themselves, and
Yeah.
you know, it's gonna get ugly. This game, you know, I went back and forth, and I was just like, like I this team or I should pick that team. I don't really know. This is going to be probably a bad pick, but I don't want to jinx Tannehill, so I'm going to take the Titans -3 against the Texans.
All right. So you're right. You're rooting for Tannehill, but you
So-
kind of.
I'm riding with the Titans. I'm rooting against Tannehill. Just hand the ball off to Derrick Henry.
All right.
Let us
All right.
let us carry it. And then, you know, here's another one. I did this. I picked against this team a couple weeks ago, and they screwed me. So now I'm picking it against them again, and I'm gonna screw them. BYU -5.5 against Houston. I picked against Houston because it was the first game of the year for them. Like in the
They were playing
like-
Tulane, right?
yeah, and it was like week 3 or 4, or where I think I have it somewhere right here. Oh, I picked him. Yeah, it's last week. Last week, week 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was their first game of
It's
the
all
year.
right. I think
against
everyone
Tulane.
will give you an excuse. Like it's 2020. Having an understanding of the amount of time that has passed, it's hard to do. So
Well, yeah, especially when
Yeah.
you're like involved in so many different games. But here's the thing, dude, is Tulane was 6.5 point dogs. BYU is 5.5 point favorites. If you've been watching BYU all year, BYU
fucking-
is actually a good team. Really
yeah,
good.
they're 14th in the nation, and I actually think even with the Big Ten coming back, they're going to stay up there. They're pretty damn good. They're
Yeah,
pretty damn good.
BYU's not bad. Okay, so and then here's kind of a wild card one, and I didn't really know who to go with, so I'm taking Boston College +12 against Virginia Tech.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's a wild card game, but I always like to sprinkle a little sauce in there a little bit, you know, dab a little, but you know, it's a tough game. I'm just gonna take Boston College.
You
and
know,
then
another.
we'll-
Yeah, we'll go into the Georgia Bama game here in a second. I just wanted to voice out there what other games I was looking at. I was looking at Ole Miss. They're -2 on the road at Arkansas. I think even coming off of a heavy offensive game against Bama, maybe they're tired out, but I think they could easily cover that 2-point spread. So I was going to take that, but I'm not going to touch it because you just really kind of never know. They could pull a Mississippi State.
that's a great game though.
Which, by the way,
That's a great pick.
Mississippi State scored 2 points against Kentucky.
Yeah,
That's insane. They scored. It was the first time that Mike Leach didn't have an offensive score. Insane. First time ever in his career. I would not want to be in that locker room afterwards. He basically said that he has players that he knows that they don't know if they want to play or not. And he's like, if you're going to do that, like that's just how this season's going to go. Another game I was looking at was where is it? I think I was looking at the BYU. I can't find. I can't remember which one it was, but whatever. Yeah, that Ole Miss Arkansas game was the one I was kind of looking at. Oh, Mississippi State, Texas A&M. Because once again, like you have been saying, when they play a team that has numbers in front of them because they're ranked, for some reason, Mike Leach gets his team up, and so Mississippi State is +6. So they even make it they could cover. But let's move on. Let's call this last game.
Even outside for that, even the bookies understand that Mike Leach gets up for that because coming off a 2-24 loss, and then you're only a 6-point, dog or whatever. Like
Against a team that has a good defense, Texas A&M, their defense is pretty good.
That just came off beating Florida. Like that's insane to be only a 6-point game.
Even the bookies know.
Yeah,
that's
the
a good
bookies
one.
are like, oh, Mike Leach. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
We're
a
not-
good one. Let's move on to the Georgia-Bama game. Georgia is +4 on the road at number 2 Bama. Georgia's number 3. Number 2 Bama is 4. You go ahead and give your pick off of that. You give your thoughts real quick. Give a recap of what you think of that game.
I think dude, obviously it's going to be a good game. I mean, it's in Bama, which doesn't really mean all that much. Most of the huge games that Bama's lost in their history, give you this one for free, because I feel like we're going to be opposites here. Most big games that Bama's lost has all been in Bryant-Denning. So I'm still taking Bama. I'm taking Bama minus
I knew
4.
you'd take Bama because I'm taking Georgia.
Yeah,
I'm taking Georgia.
I knew you were gonna take Georgia. I mean, dude, here's the thing: is Bama, they're just too good. Like they just have too much. Like, yes, I think Bama could lose this game, but at the end of the day, I still think Bama's the better team.
And also, you backdoor little side note for people that don't know, and a little inside scoop on Jake's brain is he has to root for Bama in a way, because Bama being undefeated is his best case for Oklahoma State getting in, even if SEC country has a 1-loss Georgia team. Because if they have a 1-loss Bama team, they might get 2 teams in. And so Jake kind of has to root for Bama.
Well, no, but
if you have,
yeah, because if you think about this. Say Georgia wins, right? And then you got a 1-loss and a 1-loss, that's what screws us. Is Oklahoma State, if we have to go against 2 1-loss teams, it's not going to work. But if Bama is undefeated and Georgia will have 2 losses because they lose here and then they lose in the SEC title or whatever, then we'll get over a 2-loss team, for the most part. So it'll kind of work up of Bama's basically just got to run cleaners through the SEC. I mean, it's the same concept with Clemson. Like, Clemson's basically going to get in regardless, and they're going to clean up the ACC, even though no one really cares about the ACC. But same
Jake,
thing.
Go hit your picks real quick again. Throw out
I
your
got
picks real quick.
I got BYU -5.5 versus Houston. I got Boston College +12 versus Virginia Tech. I got the Titans -3 playing the Texans. I got the Chiefs -3.5 is the Bills, and then I got Bama -4 versus Georgia.
All right, I got Georgia +4 against Bama. I got also riding with the Chiefs on this one this week, coming off a loss. I got Chiefs -3.5. I got Green Bay -1 at Tampa Bay. I got Arkansas State -3 at home against Georgia State, and I got number 15 Auburn -3 on the road at South Carolina. That's the show this week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at The Bake is Here for myself, and at Jake Cart for Jake, and at Jake and Bake Show for the channel. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe on the YouTube channel, and follow on the Spotify channel as well, wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching. Thank you. Until next week. Next week, we got the Buckeyes back. Let's go, baby.